Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to the first Nonary Game 999. I've slept since the last recording, so poor Santa here has been stuck sleeveless in this walk-in freezer for probably at least 12 hours, which goes to show that this game doesn't have like an internal clock and it really isn't actually giving you 9 hours to solve the puzzle. The game would be infinitely worse if it actually did have a timer element on it. I suppose in games like Double Switch, where there is a timer on a game like that because there is full motion video playing at all times and a story playing out at all times, so there is a maximum length of a game like that. Nothing like that here, clearly. We're in an escape room scenario, although it doesn't seem like we're really ever in any major threat when we're trying to escape a room, except for that first one. And I imagine there was no timer on the first escape room either, so I bet that room would have just never flooded, even if I had taken hours and hours and hours to try and solve it. We went through another annoying conversation with June, and the way the flow works here, I guess even if I am given the choice to say eliminate June as a character, there's going to be a point where if we try and see all the content, we're going to have to rewind and not eliminate her as a character and keep her going along. She is really into conspiracy theories. That is a major turnoff, I think, personally for me and probably for a lot of people. Even if I was big into conspiracy theories, I wouldn't be big into talking about conspiracy theories while we are in this jigsaw murder trap, which hasn't really even been that murderish. So Santa says, "Are you blind?"
It's a freezer.
Now, I want to also point out this animation where his arms are over, are crossed like that. This probably is the first time we've seen him make this motion, and we'll want to keep an eye out to see if he makes this motion in any other cutscenes and how often he makes that motion, because if this is the only point that they use this single still frame, well, that's a drawing that would have taken a couple of hours that they would have had to pay some animators. Now, Japan's not known for paying their animators much of anything for animating it. It's a really poorly paying career, but as a game director or producer, it would be fairly wasteful to have this custom animation that doesn't get used anywhere else.
Oh, no way. That's way too cold for me.
And see, that motion that Lotus just made is something we've definitely seen her do before. And it's no surprising you should say, "That's way too cold for me." She should probably say, "It's way too cold for this outfit."
I'll freeze solid in seconds. Sorry, but I'm afraid I'll have to pass on this one. I'm going to leave the rest to you.
Now, the problem we've run into is we've got 3 people that seem to just love to follow the main player around and give a lot of dialogue feedback when it's not really necessary. It seems like they're just kind of stretching for time when it doesn't need to stretch for time. I'd much prefer if the main character just would remark upon an object when you looked on the object by himself. Plenty of point and click adventure games do that, where you click on something and it will say it's a lamp, and then it might go, "It's a lamp, let me look further. Oh, the bulb is burned out," or "Oh, I can turn the switch if I want to." No need for some other character to talk to you and that potentially be a point in which a whole conversation starts up.
Oh, whoa. It's really cold in here.
Yeah. It's almost as if the game is trying to remind you that these characters are with you, which doesn't make sense in the video game format.
Hey, you don't need to be in here. You had a fever just a little bit ago. You should stay outside. We got this.
Yeah, Junpei's still trying to be nice to June, but personally, I mean, I guess I'd still be nice to her. Like, he makes a very valid point. She only becomes more of a burden if her fever starts her starts her being even sicker, and we have to drag her around because she can't even walk. It'd be kind of funny if it turned out that her fever is some sign of drugging, and she turns out to be talking so crazy because she's being either mentally manipulated or she's been drugged, and it turns out she has like no memory of Junpei at all, or just very little memory of Junpei, and it was just some kind of weird, almost like aphrodisiac given to her that would have her thinking crazy. Like, so yeah, that kind of would make sense if it turned out that June was on something like ecstasy. Oh yeah, that would make a lot of sense of the way she talks. But I doubt that's going to be the case in the game like this.
No, I'm fine.
And then she has these moments of not being completely insane, so it'd be kind of hard to assume she was on some kind of drug that was that mood and behavior altering.
My fever's gone now.
But
Huh?
That's weird. The door shuts and now we're hearing water. The power's out. Okay, now we're dead. We've just been locked in the freezer. Here's a good plan in any kind of these jigsaw murder traps. Always assign somebody to be the person who is going to literally hold the door open. Like, there was already speculation that the doors might be remotely controlled by Zero, and a door might just close and lock and latch itself anyways. So yeah, I would say not a bad idea if you have enough people to say, hey, you're just going to be our doorman. You're going to make sure all doors that we go through stay open. We're not going to get trapped anywhere. Of course, that wouldn't work with the numbered doors, but at least then you won't be surprised as much. Or at the very least, the guy can say, hey, the door is closing and I can't stop it. And people could try and rush out or rush in.
no! Why did it suddenly close?
And then we have another instance of everybody just making sound effects. There's too much of that. Maybe what they should do is not have that written and instead just have it said verbally. It makes me feel like the DS original version of this had no audio dialogue at all, or sounds other than background music at all. It's a weird looking handle.
The knob's frozen.
I don't think I've ever seen a, what would you call that, a back plate on a handle that was diagonal?
But why?
So does this mean Lotus just locked us in?
It looks like the pipe next to it broke, and... Hey, Lotus! You're out there, right? Open the door!
Now, Lotus knows that only the right combination of people can survive this puzzle. And Santa, I think, might have a little bit more knowledge of numbers than he's really shown. So he could be useful.
What do you want? What's going on?
The door won't open! Try opening it from that side, please!
Oh, fine. If you say so. Hold on.
She could be totally lying right now. She just could be going, but there was a latch on this, so she could have locked the latch and pull on the door all she wants.
It's no use. It won't budge. You've got more people in there. You figure it out.
That's a weird response. It's like, it really does feel like Lotus is weirdly unwilling to take any action, and she just wants somebody else to always do it, or she just wants to sit and do nothing. Again, just more sound effects that only make sense if there wasn't voice acting, and really could have been edited out fairly easily.
Anyway, let's find a way out.
I don't think the software for visual novels and like scripting the visual novels are particularly as good as they could be. I've only seen like one tutorial using like I think the Unreal Engine to localize a game where you could do something like that, but using the Unreal Engine to make a visual novel is a little crazy. You'd be much better using the Unity engine, which could port it to more platforms easier.
If we don't get moving, we're going to be permanent residents.
Two heads are better than none. I'm sure we'll figure something out.
Yeah, you're right.
It's funny, now we're in an escape room inside of an escape room.
Look around this room, okay?
And all we have is a like rusty knife right now. So yeah, let's open this. And we've got some dry ice. Can't you make the stuff cause an explosion if you sealed in something airtight? Explode, yeah. Didn't you do that in school? You should never underestimate the power of expanding gas. Okay, maybe?
Dry ice is just frozen carbon dioxide, right?
Which would push all the oxygen out of the room.
Yeah, it is.
As it melts, so it's a danger.
I wonder how warm it has to get for it to turn back into gas again.
Hell if I know. How is that going to help us anyway?
Oh, well, I figured we might be able to use it to get out of here.
Carbon dioxide sublimation point is negative 109 degrees.
Interesting that she knows that, considering how she's shown like no previous knowledge of anything that was a hard science.
Any warmer than that, and it'll turn into gas. Any lower, and it becomes a solid.
109 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit?
Oh, how do you know that?
Probably Celsius would be my guess.
Despite my looks, I'm the the queen of random knowledge.
Looks bad to mess up when you're showing off. Oh, you're so cold your mouth's going numb?
Yeah, that's right.
Wow, this freezer is way colder than it should be at this point. Like, you could easily spend an hour or two in a standard walk-in freezer and not be this affected.
Come on, guys. Don't you think that's kind of weird?
Yeah, I do.
I wonder why it doesn't turn into a liquid first.
Let's see. Here's an odd choice. Like, I wonder why it doesn't turn into liquid force. He wanted out of the freezer now. It didn't. It did seem rather odd. Yeah. I don't see a reason to try and get more bits of information. This feels oddly too educational for what the story is. Like, and even with my understanding of the Japanese society, this doesn't feel like this would be a reasonable game to hand to a junior high student and say, here, play this game so you learn 5 interesting facts while escaping this jigsaw style death trap puzzle. So if I go, it did seem rather odd, then we just get more dialogue, or we went out of the freezer now. I think we went out of the freezer now. The video game logic wise, like, let's figure out a way out and then talk later.
How the hell would I know? And how the hell is that going to help us get out of here?
See, that response almost was a narrator choice, I guess, instead of the other choices seeming to be more from the voice of Junpei.
We don't have time for this crap.
But it can turn into a liquid.
Okay.
carbon dioxide turns to liquid if you put it under high enough pressure.
Okay.
This isn't really a good time for a chat about science.
Yeah. In a funny way, I have unintentionally probably lowered my relationship meter with June, and I don't mind that one bit.
But I was wondering the same thing.
But it doesn't seem like it really matters what you choose, because you're still going to get the same similar lines of dialogue.
Wondering what?
Wondering why carbon dioxide doesn't turn into a liquid unless it's under pressure.
Right? It just seems weird.
It has to do with the boil point in the atmosphere.
Water's a liquid between 32 degrees and 212 degrees.
Yeah, that seems to be translated to Fahrenheit.
So why isn't that the case for carbon dioxide? H2O and CO2 are pretty similar.
I would completely disagree with that.
No, they're not. They're totally different substances. Look, guys, if we keep this up, we're just gonna freeze to death.
This would be funny if I got a game over because I chose the wrong single
You
choice.
good with that? You want to die talking about sublimation and gases? Because I sure as hell don't. Now let's get back to work. Assuming you don't want to end up like a pair of ice sculptures.
Oh, but Jumpy,
Seems like you just can't get out of the conversation.
there's a kind of ice that doesn't turn into liquid when it goes above 32 degrees. I heard about it.
Yeah, because it doesn't have any nucleation points. What is that? Super cooled ice?
Its melting point is 96 degrees.
Is that what she's talking about?
Ice with a melting point of 96 degrees? You mean there's water that freezes at 96 degrees?
Are all these numbers going to matter? This is insanity.
Yeah, well, you could also look at it as ice that won't melt until it's 96 degrees.
Yeah, I wonder, again, if there's some kind of telepathy or like time travel thing happening here, and she's being implanted, incepted the idea of saying 96 somehow. Integrate that into the conversation because that's part of the solution later on. And we have a line of dialogue that wasn't spoken. So we just lost our dialogue. And I don't know if that... It kind of almost feels like the thread, the processor engine that plays the audio may just be crashing and then rebooting, because it seems very abrupt how it just goes from no line of dialogue to dialogue, and all I'm doing is just pressing A every time. So should we say that it doesn't matter, or should we say that's interesting? Should we try to get back on track? I think it at this point is obvious that we're going to have the conversations regardless, unless I am just supposed to be the jerk here and say it doesn't matter, let's just get back, so I guess let's not be the jerk and just listen.
So what's this ice with a melting point of 96 degrees called?
And see, then we just have dialogue coming back and an audio sound effect coming back, so maybe just the entire audio engine is crashing and restarting in this, and it's just really, really badly programmed or ported.
I heard it's called Ice 9.
Never heard of it.
Ice 9?
Sounds like fiction to me.
Originally, Ice 9 was a made-up substance invented by a science fiction author.
Oh god, it's another conspiracy theory.
But recently, scientists have discovered that such a substance actually exists.
Wait, hold up. So is this thing called Ice 9, or is it water?
Like I said, if the ice is over 96 degrees, it'll be liquid. If it's under that, it'll solidify.
And is this the same kind of ice that froze the Egyptian priestess that was supposedly on the Titanic?
So, you could think of it as a polymorph of H2O.
I don't know if that's what a polymorph means. June is starting to make me suspect that she might have some form of schizophrenia with rapid thinking. Rapid thinking is a symptom where the brain is quite capable of just creating stories instantaneously and making the person think that they've heard the story, or they know this thing, or that that's the explanation of this thing. So many people with rapid thinking will say they believe in aliens, and then you will present, well, this evidence here contradicts why aliens wouldn't have come and visited you in particular, and they go, oh, I know that part, but here's the reason, and then they'll go into long paragraphs and diatribes of explaining away and adding to the story and just creating the story over and over again, to the point where it feels like they really know what they're talking about, but really they're just unconsciously very creative and capable of making up a story that makes sense to most people in the room. It's really hard to confront somebody with rapid thinking and schizophrenia, because you have to get them over the point of believing themselves when believing things that aren't true, and recognizing that they believe things that aren't true, and then you have to get them to recognize and realize when rapid thinking might be happening in their own mind, and say, do I really know this? Is this a real story I heard, or is this something that I just think I know, and am I just in autopilot?
Here, think of it like diamonds and graphite.
Yeah. I was thinking, like, ice could have a different crystalline structure, sure. But I don't think a crystalline structure really would affect ice's melting point, because the states of matter just have to do with the amount of energy, basically electrons, that something has, or at least how much movement in the atoms exists. So even if something was in a very unique crystalline structure, if you put enough energy into it, it should always melt at the same point, or it should at that point chemically break down the crystals and the connecting bonds.
They're both made of carbon, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of false logic, just silly logic being made here, and it's unscientific. We're getting to the point of just,
but
like,
depending on the structure of the crystallization, the hardness and structure are completely different.
Yeah, but carbon and diamonds burn at the exact same temperature. So that's I'm fairly certain they do, at least. So yeah, I can't really buy anything June has to say,
So you're saying
particularly when she's saying
like that.
saying something that is just wrong.
Yep. Have you heard the story about the crystallization of glycerin?
Alright, glycerin is not water.
For 150 years after the discovery of glycerin, people cooled it, warmed it. They did all sorts of things to it.
Okay.
But whatever they did, it never crystallized.
Okay.
However, one day in 1920, some glycerin on its way to England by ship was discovered to have crystallized during the trip.
Why do we need to jump to black for this image?
Scientists around the world wanted to research this new crystallized form of glycerin and asked for seeds.
See, for this game, it feels like they wanted to have another background scene or something else to show here instead of just blankness. And they asked for crystal seeds, not plant seeds.
Oh, a seed is a sample of the original crystallized substance. With a seed crystal, further crystallization of glycerin would be easy. However, something very strange happened. Not only did the glycerin encouraged by seed crystals begin to crystallize.
See, if they had this image, why didn't they show this image 2 or 3 sentences ago?
Even the samples nearby did, even though they were tightly sealed.
Okay.
And it didn't end there.
So it comes down to a matter, do you trust sterile, tight sealing of samples in the 1920s that it would account for all potential conditions, including humidity, gravity, pressure, heat, things like that? And the answer to that is no, you probably wouldn't, assuming this isn't just a completely made up story, which it probably is.
After that day, it doesn't matter where in the world it is. All glycerin crystallizes naturally when cooled to less than 64 degrees.
If this were a true story, I would guess what happened is in the 1920s, they finally developed the technology to recognize that glycerin crystallized, and it crystallized itself perfectly fine before that.
Before that day, no matter how glycerin was cooled, it refused to crystallize. But once the crystallization had begun, it was almost like, how do I put it? It was almost like all the glycerin in the world was communicating.
Yeah, the morphogenic field idea being thrown out again.
Communicating in some way that we can't sense.
So this clearly is a theme that they're trying to implant into the story.
And now it's happening everywhere.
I wonder, I played a game called Control a while ago, about half a year ago. I wonder if a story around a morphogenic field and implanting ideas into an object or people would have been slightly more interesting than the stories that Control really threw out there, which really didn't become, wasn't much. It was almost the exact same story. It was a sound that somehow was unique, that took control of people and tried to take over a unique like FBI building like facility. Part of the problem I think with Control also is that it had a lot of text documents that you could pick up and read with other cool ideas that didn't get implemented or displayed visually. So if you were more of a player like me who didn't want to read the text documents, you're not going to have anywhere as much entertainment as somebody who was willing to pore over the many lines of text. We have a different issue when we're playing what is effectively a visual novel like this, plus it's voiced. So all of a sudden our prompts now are definitely from a narrative perspective, and also from a past tense perspective too. Was honestly impressed, was kind of annoyed. So either the game is getting translated worse and worse as we go further into it, or this is supposed to be a hint at something. I'm just gonna say I'm kind of impressed because clearly I'm supposed to just keep all these people happy, I think, and basically just not step on any toes and try and solve the puzzles. Anyways.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. But what does that have to do with Ice 9?
What she's saying is that it's a lot like Ice 9. What happened, I mean.
A lot like? Oh, that would be bad. If water everywhere started freezing at 96 degrees, man,
it'd be the end of the world. At any rate, we're not gonna have to worry about the end of the world unless we can get out of here pretty damn quick.
Boy, do I want to just play some video game,
All right, guys,
though.
I think that's enough of that. I didn't think we'd get quite this far off topic.
Yeah. Thank you, Santa. Thank you that you have the authority to end these long-winded conversations so we can actually play a game.
Kind of fault here, but we can't be screwing around anymore.
Yeah. The timing of these conversations are always oddly in the middle of the escape the room sections, where I would probably have told the writer, merge all of the conversations that are important with the conversations that happen outside of the escape the room sections, and let's leave about half of the conversations on the cutting room floor, so that when there is a high tension moment that calls for action and drama, you aren't then given potentially 30 minutes of conversation you have to talk through before you can do anything.
Seriously. I might go by the name Santa right now, but I didn't grow up in Iceland. I freaking hate the cold.
So he hates the cold, he hates love, hate, faith, and fate. He's got like 5 things he hates.
So let's get cracking, alright? We gotta find a way out of here.
So we're getting a growing list of things Santa hates.
Selfish, isn't he?
I don't know why you would call him selfish. He's trying to save your lives as much as his own.
Ice 9 is interesting and all, but we can discuss it more once we get out of this freezer.
Yeah. Seriously, just let me play the game. This thing is frozen solid as a pork? Yeah, it seems like it. This looks... What's this thing? It looks like a tag or something. Tagging a chunk of pork. It's a slip of paper in the meat. Can't read it like this. Try and pull it out, it'll probably rip. You need to defrost that. I don't think we'll be doing that in this room. Okay. Doesn't look like there's anything else interesting. So that was water dripping from the pipe. Looks like when the pipe burst, the water hit the doorknob and froze it in place. The water almost seems almost warm. So no good. I can't hit it hard enough to break. Maybe we just need more of a shock, you know? More of a shock. This is covering something. It's frozen solid. I can't flip it over. Thin pipe. Hey Junpei, didn't you find some dry ice early? Yeah, there's a warm water coming out of the pipe. Warm water and dry ice. What do you think this would be if we put the stuff in a sealed container together? So is this water like running water? It's hard to tell since these are stationary images. Let's see. Now we've got a water bottle. Yes, it is. So we can go ahead and combine. Do we have to combine this with this? Nope. It's an empty water bottle. The neck is pretty small. I don't think I could put anything particularly big here. Alright, so we're gonna have to maybe find something else. We have a sturdy rope. So now we can see the items on the left double up in columns, so that probably limits us down to 8 items in any escape the room scenario, one would assume, but it might even get up to 16 because there might be 8 on the other side. Is there anything else useful? Let's see, under here. So let's see if we try the rope on the doorknob. Let's see. Water bottle on the warm water, I guess. Am I not clicking on things, or? Let's start off by putting the dry ice into the water bottle, but the dry ice is too big. We gotta figure out to make it smaller then, Eugene. I mean, you could probably take a chunk of pork and that and beat it up. But I guess if we just... Yeah. If we took the rusty knife and tried to cut it? No. Let's look at the map. Just to see if maybe the map had something else that I'm missing. Frozen chicken. It's really hard and it's frozen stuff. Hey June, can you say it again? Hey, say it again. It's really hard. Again. It's really hard. Thanks. Something's wrong. Junpei, your face is bright red. Nothing, I'm fine. If it's that hard, you could probably use it as a hammer. Yeah, good point. Maybe we can use it to break something. Yeah, I don't know if that was Santa that was prompting June to say that and goofing around, or if that was Junpei that was prompting her to say it's really hard over and over again, which it probably is a localization translation decision. And she probably said something completely different. Alright, do we now want to merge that together? No. So now the bottle is tied up and has been relabeled as a bomb. So yeah, let's use it. Use it on the knob.
Put water into the bottle with dry ice.
See, I don't know how much actual resistive and percussive force you're gonna get from a dry ice bomb like this, but it might be enough to break the ice. On the other hand, if the water is slightly warm, wouldn't it maybe be a better idea to see if the warm water would melt the ice and open the door anyways?
And make sure the lid's closed. Now I just have to put this makeshift bomb on the doorknob. Alright, that's set.
Now, these guys, do they want to go in the back corner and hide? Maybe see if you could angle yourself somewhat behind that freezer, which is inside a walk-in freezer. Yeah, it really confuses the issue, I suppose, a little bit. Yeah, the map's not even going to show me where we are now. There's literally a freezer, or an ice box at least, inside a walk-in cooler, which should not be as cold as this is. It should probably be somewhere below 40 degrees but above 32, and there's really no reason to bring a entire walk-in cooler down to like 0 degrees. And I don't think freezers typically would work inside a walk-in cooler as well as you would think, because the heat exchanger on a freezer or an icebox, if it has that, if it's running off electricity at all, which maybe it isn't, the compressor, the condenser, and heat exchanger elements there would be putting heat that it is taking from inside the freezer into the walk-in cooler, and it would be doing that in a very inefficient way, because refrigerators only work well when there is a high difference in temperature on the outside of a refrigerator or freezer compared to the inside. They don't work well if it's 0 degrees outside and you want it to be 0 degrees inside, and it's particularly hotter inside the refrigerator than it is outside.
We just need to give it a little tap.
Okay, who's gonna do that?
The bottle's already about to pop. If we just throw a rock or something at it, it'll go off all on its own.
A small rock. Huh. A small rock.
I've got a rusty knife.
Alright, this ought to do the trick.
Odd that we just find a piece of ice and use that as a small rock.
Dry ice, huh? Not a bad idea.
It feels like the game should have left us a few bits of dry ice extra in our inventory so we could just know that we had that in our inventory.
Alright guys, stand back. Actually, we should probably hide somewhere.
Yeah. I don't know if June could potentially crawl into that floor grate. And I don't know if the floor cabinet, it's whatever you would call that. I don't know if the door for that swings in a way that it could potentially block
Where
anything.
exactly do you expect us to hide, genius?
There isn't really anywhere big enough.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. It kind of feels like somebody's going in the freezer and somebody's going in the floor.
Right here. We can hide in there. Come on, get inside, quick.
That's a really big floor cabinet. I don't know why you would build that. That it just seems like a screaming tripping hazard. And it opens to the side, so you couldn't use the door as kind of a shield.
Alright, here I go. 3, 4, 5.
You're counting the wrong way.
Oops.
That is a really sad excuse for a joke, man.
Sorry, dude. Alright, for real this time. You guys ready?
Yes, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, everybody's still joking around way too
Tell me the
much.
damn thing.
Like you've already seen one person blown up.
Alright.
It's time to like sober up and be serious. You can have a few jokes, but there's too much going on here. And see, I would say this is a kind of consistent theme in a lot of anime horror stories where the characters seem to be fairly demented, I suppose might be the right word. That they seem to really embrace the violence, the gore, and just find it fun and interesting. They're a lot like, I would say, like Goku in Dragon Ball Z, where it's just like, yeah, more fighting, more fighting, more violence, more violence. There's never an episode in the Dragon Ball Z universe where Goku says, boy, do I hate all this fighting, and do I hate that all these enemies are showing up and trying to blow up the earth time after time after time. It's just like, no, I want to train, I want to fight some more. There's definitely been some weird instances of that in stories where people in a lot of these universes and a lot of these stories seem to be more than willing to turn into monsters and not be realistic, sympathetic, normal people. And yeah, that is weird, certainly. And maybe it is part of a bigger statement that could be made on how conformist the Japanese society is on the outside and how willing to throw away those conformalities, if that's a word, as soon as they're given permission to.
3, 2,
or as soon as
1.
nobody's looking. So they forgot to tell Lotus to stand away from the door.
Jumpy! The ice on the door, is it gone?
Yeah, it's gone.
The blast must have shattered it.
Yes. All right. Let's see if it opens.
So what will Lotus have been doing this whole time?
Hooray! We're out!
And we found a couple of items in there that will be part of the solution to escape to the next room.
Move!
Interesting. He just pushes her.
Oh, god damn it! Hot, 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 hot.
He's really, really cold. And apparently, at this point, I would say showing that he is rather selfish.
Well, you did just grab the grill. What did you think would happen? Hey, where's Lotus?
Welcome back. I was starting to get tired of waiting for you guys.
Again, just a black screen.
What were you doing?
I feel like she was just sitting there waiting for you to die.
What do you mean, what was I doing? I was waiting.
We were gonna die.
Oh, yeah? But you didn't. So everything worked out all right, didn't it?
Now Lotus is showing that she's perhaps a little too callous for her own good. She should probably be feigning interest in everybody surviving for her own interest alone.
What the hell?
Just kidding. It might not look like it, but I was really worried.
But then, yeah, Lotus is just teasing you.
Oh, don't give me that crap.
I'm telling the truth. I mean, if you died, then I'd be in trouble too. If you died, then I'd be stuck here, and I'd die too. See? I did all I could. I even looked around to see if there was anything I could use to pry open the door. But I couldn't find anything.
This would have been a good point for her to say, I found this item here, you can have it. And you could even have had several items in this room that you could have found before you went into the freezer. And if you didn't find those items by the time you escaped the freezer, she would just say, I found it for you, and hand it to you. Thus, you still have all the same amount of items, but then the game can give you a little bit of help and not waste your time and make it a easier experience, and just make sure nobody falls behind. We kind of know that there is something here behind the locked cabinet. We just don't know the solution to the locked cabinet yet.
So, all I could do was wait. I mean, what else did you want me to do? Call the cops?
Fine. But there's one thing I have to ask you.
What's that?
You didn't close the door, did you?
What? You think I closed the door on you?
If she closed the door, then she probably would have latched it and you wouldn't have been able to explode out, and it would have been really crazy to potentially find a way to burst the pipe and get the ice on it also.
Why would I do something like that? It closed on its own. I told you before, if you die, then I die too.
Yeah, I guess so. If she'd really wanted to kill us, all she had to do was bar the door from the outside.
Yeah, it just is weird. A weird jump here. You go from joking around to accusatory and upset.
But she didn't.
And I think accusatory and upset is the right attitude to have in this situation.
Well, she didn't do anything.
Yeah, more and more Lotus is just being described as a person who won't do anything.
She's only lazy, or negligent at least, not an attempted murderer.
And they're gonna describe that as lazy.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I doubted you.
Oh, yes, well that's alright. As long as you understand.
Hey, no more screwing around, you two. Break time's over. Especially for you, lady. You've just been sitting on that fat ass of yours while we were freezing to death.
Really? You're gonna make that comment?
How rude! I was plenty busy.
Yeah. How about you put all that energy into something besides bitching? Let's go.
Alright, so now we're back to escaping. So here we have a chunk of pork. Put the meat on the grill. Hey, what are you doing? What are you gonna do if the paper burns? Come on, it'll be fine. I mean, it's not like it's gonna burn right away anyways, right? We just gotta keep an eye on it and the paper will be fine. Well, they can argue all they want. I'm gonna keep an eye on this pork. Cool. Looks like it's about time. I'm gonna try and take the paper out. Jumpy, be careful. Sweet of her to care, but I know what I'm... Ouch! See? I told you. Hey, what the hell are you doing? Hurry up and take the paper out. It's not coming out. This thing's frozen stiff. I can't get it out. So we're gonna have to cut the meat. Yeah, it looks that way. Okay. Well, we got the rusty knife. An old rusty thing. So we gotta now find a way of sharpening the knife. It's a rolling pin and a colander there. Nothing useful. Is this a stone? Yeah, that's a whetstone. Combine that with that. Use the whetstone to sharpen the knife. Be kind of funny if all of a sudden it is not rusty looking now. Yep. Definitely a lot of these item inventory objects are pre-bought assets. Now the question is, would you want to eat the pork? It says C plus 10 plus F. Great. What else have we got? C. This is probably what you're supposed to use to enter the password. Maybe if we put the right numbers, it'll open the oven door. Junpei, maybe the note you found earlier. Yeah, I know. Do you know how to enter those numbers? I think E is for enter and C is for clearing. So basically, when I'm ready to submit my answer, just press E. So if I screw up, press C. Load this and noted. Alright, let's give it a shot. So C plus 10 plus F. Didn't work. Do you think the note we found in the pork wasn't a hint? C plus 10 plus F? There aren't any letters on the input device. Maybe if we can find a way to convert the letters to numbers. Oh yeah, the voucher next to the plates had some letters on it, didn't it? Maybe they've got something to do with it. So they're just like walking me through this whole puzzle, reminding me what the puzzle was because it's been so long. It says let's see. Appetizer 9, meat dish 10, soup is A, seafood dish is F. So does that mean F is 12? But what would C be? Yeah, that's clear. See, I imagine C and F would mean the same thing. Hey Santa, could you open that door please? What the hell? There's no way I can open such a thing. Guess you're getting to the age where I start to go, huh? You better watch your mouth, boy, or someone won't live long enough to see that door opened. This has got the two of them on the edge. We gotta get out of here and fast. See, we were in here and over here we didn't see anything. And over here. Yeah. So do we really have to click on every cheese and potentially see if there's something in on every cheese? Okay, over here, over there. Pot and a pan and a pressure cooker. guess you could use them as weapons. Do we need weapons? Why so serious? I didn't click around a lot in this area, so suppose there might be something I'm missing. 9 plates. Appetizers come on square plates. There's 10 of them. Soup plates. Okay, wait a minute. So soup was, so this is this voucher is the number of plates for each of them. Okay. 15 plates, seafood. So 15, so it's 10 plus 15, so what is C? Interesting. I'm just gonna skip through a lot of this text and not read it out loud because this is just going to be long. If you ever take a lady out for dinner, you're gonna embarrass yourself. I feel sorry for June. What? 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 Why are you bringing up June? The lady does protest too much, methinks. You're not terribly subtle. So what kind of plates are these? Meat. Alright. So meat. Interesting. We're getting a different appearance here now that I've looked at everything. Meat was 10. 9 appetizer, 16 meat, 10 seafood, 15 soup. Maybe they're using hexadecimal here. I thought it might be hexadecimal, but I don't know how that would have been any more obvious. I mean, it's not really as obvious enough as it should be. Okay, so she talked about binary before, and now we're getting a lesson on hexadecimal, which is base 16. Too many number systems, too many number puzzles for Westerners' taste. A equals 10, B equals 11, C equals 12, F equals 15, so that would mean 37 is the answer. You can think of it as just 6 letters added to the normal number system after 9. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Alright, well, then let's try 37. Apparently we're getting notes again. 37 didn't work. Alright, C plus 10 plus F should probably not. Yeah, unless the 10, I mean, the craziness here would be if the number was 1, because you have to have the digital root. C would be, A would be 10, B would be 11, and C would be 12, and then F should be 16. So 12 and 16 would be 28, and so it should be 38. I was 1 off. A would be 10, B would be 11, C would be 12, D would be 13, E would be 14, and F would be 15. So it should be 37. Unless there's a subtraction there. Let's try this. How about 12, then 10, then 15. It stops after 3 digits. 12, and then 1, 0, and see, it just stops after 3 digits. Interesting. Well, I guess we could try 36. Let's look at our note. See, if you were going to convert the T to an A, then you would have CAF. Corporate finance. Clever and funny. But I don't know how you do CAF either. Let's try 25. How would we then convert it back? 12 plus 10 is 22, plus 15 would be 37. 37 would equal 10. Let's just do a digital root of 1. Let's just do 9. Let's just do 999. Like, it's really trying to give me a hint here, and yet somehow but it's I'm missing the solution. Let's look here again. Hexadecimal. I wonder if it's some kind of hint. Yeah, maybe. Do you remember what I told you about the hexadecimal code early? No, because I was trying to skip through it because I'm tired of going through dialogue at this point. You've exhausted my emotional attention energy by all the puns and jokes and drama when you should have had me just focus on the puzzle, and then after we'd solved the puzzle we should have had some falling action and had some drama. Here's a little quizlet for you. What would 9 plus F be in base 10? 9 plus F be in base 10. Seems like the game is now even just quizzing me because it realizes I don't understand this. That would be 24. And then at that point, do I have to subtract 24 from... Oh, is it 24? I mean, you think it's just 24? It'd be 24, right? Alright, good. See, that they're making me even question it. Because I was like, well, if I have 24, do I then have to subtract by 10 and just divide by 10? Yeah, this note is straight up just telling you C is 12, F is 15. Once you hit 16, that is 10. So 10 equals 16. Okay. Okay, so maybe that's the part I'm not getting. So CAF should be 16. Yeah, let's just bring up the calculator. It would be C, which would be 12 plus 16 plus 15 equals 43. So let's try 43. I may just have to look up the solution here. If that didn't work, thank goodness that worked. I don't want to have to go and try and find a walkthrough for a game that has barely a dozen puzzles. But yeah, I am definitely drained mentally after all of the drama and all of dealing with June's schizophrenic, rapid thinking type stories or her conspiracy theories. Alright. So what's gonna be in here? The door opened. Good job, Jumpy. And inside we have the Saturn keycard. This looks like a lower H, but the line through it is throwing me off. This is the symbol for Saturn. Remember, there was an elevator next to the main staircase. Wasn't there a mark on the card reader next to it? Yeah, I remember that. It means this card ain't gonna help us get out of the room then. Not sure. Why don't we try it out? So, is there anything else? So it might be that the Saturn keycard gets us to another deck in a whole different area. Yes, let's get out of this area and try and have a reset and a refresh. You did it, Jumpy. Let's get out of here. So you're gonna leave all the cheese and the potential weapons of the pots and pans and the pork. When any of that food is worth holding on to, it might all be poison for all you know. It might all be rotten, but you might be willing to take that risk. Although I guess it doesn't matter because you're gonna be dead in 9 hours if you believe Zero anyways. We found it. We found a way out.
I think we've been here before.
That was just too much. Too much of two different things. Two escape rooms back to back when it felt like there should have been something else. And so we're now in an area I don't recognize, but apparently Junpei does.
The elevators are over there, so that means...
We went into the kitchen through that door and came out on this side.
Yeah, that's what we were expecting.
That means the map was right.
Well, thank goodness that the map is right. I would have just kind of assumed that. That'd be an interesting twist in like a horror movie if you're given a map early and they just believe the map completely and it turns out to be completely wrong.
Looks like.
Then let's use it to plan our next move.
Next move?
Yeah, we need to decide where to go from here, don't we?
He's right. Let's get started.
From the looks of it, there are 4 possible routes.
Okay. I want to look at the flow. Where are we? Yeah, the way the flow seems to go, it looks to me like there's only 3 possible routes. So if I find an extra one and it just magically made this flow change, that would be weird.
Let's just keep it simple and call them A, B, C, and D.
Okay. I think you go to C. that would be the direction to meet up with the other group and find out, I guess, if they're all dead.
First, A and B.
A and B, I think, go into the casino. And I guess the other group might be up ahead, or they may have already escaped for all we know.
They both seem to connect to a room that looks L-shaped.
Yeah, there were 2 doors. But they were both locked. We couldn't open them.
When did this happen?
Now, Route C. This goes all the way to the main staircase.
That means it's door 5, one of the numbered doors.
Okay. Is there a danger of going backwards through a door 5 path?
Then do you think we would meet up with the other 4 after this hallway?
One would hope.
No, I don't think we will.
But apparently Lotus doesn't believe that.
Why not?
Look, there by the stairs. See how the gate is open?
So was that gate not opened before? Did we miss them?
When we went into the kitchen, it was closed.
So we've just missed them. So then the reason to go back is just to investigate and get the number 9 watch.
But it's open now. What do you think that means?
They opened it.
Most likely.
And it would really stink if it turns out that they're having an easier time and they're not running into any puzzles at all.
And if we take Route C, we're going backwards.
I still think that might be the right move.
That would be pointless.
I don't think so.
Then that means...
I don't know if this game is going to give me any choice. Which, if you're going downstairs, aren't you going to the flooded, or towards the flooded decks?
D it is.
Yep, Route D.
Well, I'm outvoted, clearly.
We're set.
So, no decision, it seems.
Everything looks okay here.
Yeah, that definitely felt like a point in the story where the writer wanted there to be gameplay and choices to be made, and they must have ran out of budget or ideas.
Let's check the next deck just to be sure.
Yeah, just like I thought. D-deck is totally underwater.
Just like the bottom of the central staircase.
At least the water level hasn't really changed.
Small comfort.
May as well head back to C deck.
What else is here?
We don't have
There
a
are 2
map.
elevators over there at the top of the stairs. Just like the floor above.
Hold on. These are kind of different. See? There's a card reader on the side.
Okay.
Another strange mark.
Hey, look! It's Lotus's symbol!
Lotus's symbol?
Huh?
See? It's the woman symbol with horns on it. That seems like... Oh, ouch, 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 ouch!
See, now that I'm outside of the drama of trying to escape a room and not be frozen to death in a walk-in freezer, I found that funny. I found like that was a good point to have a joke.
What was that about the mark again?
Nothing.
This is a Mercury symbol. The horns symbolize the wings on Hermes' staff.
Hermes, herpes, whatever. If we can't get this thing to work, these elevators aren't going anywhere.
In other words, we need a key card with the Mercury symbol on it.
Feels like we're gonna end up having key cards or keys to like 8 different other doors on top of the numbered doors. Then we're gonna end up moving up and down, left and right, all throughout the entirety of the ship. And we may have to do a lot of backtracking.
Let's just disregard the elevators for now.
How about this hallway on the left?
Whoa, There's so many doors.
Damn it. If we try and search all these, the sun's gonna go down before we've done half of them.
I think the sun already set.
I would definitely send somebody to just start running. Just try the doors and run. Try the doors and run.
I have a feeling this ship is the only thing that's going to be going down anytime soon.
That's even worse.
Well, we can come back to this hallway later. Let's check the hallway on the other side, shall we?
Yeah, it definitely feels like you don't get to make as many decisions as you should be able to.
And now the right hallway.
I would be a little bit alright if you made a wrong decision and then you got a pretty quick instant death scene and then the game just rewound itself back to that point and said, yeah, let's not go that way.
There are doors here too. Well, I guess it's just 4 this time.
Yeah, I guess that's more reasonable.
Let's open them.
Alright, let's start with this one.
You'd want a decent system here where you could open the doors or some other way mark the doors as being searched just as you're going in case more people follow.
Huh, it isn't locked. I'm going to open it.
See, this would be funny if like something jumped out and fell on you. Seems a little early to be back into another escape the room section. And you're in like some weird infirmary. I mean, I don't know what else you would call this. There's just like a lot of beds, but also some tables and chairs. And then of course there's a number 7 and a number 8 door, which might make it feel like you're close to number 9 door, but probably aren't. It's a 3, a 7, and an 8.
What the hell is this?
Again, it feels like this room was decorated to start somebody to have some kind of conversation.
This place is huge.
Oh, there are beds everywhere.
They look like hospital beds, sort of.
Is this a hospital?
It definitely has the smell.
Could be. I see medicine cabinets and surgical tools.
Hey, look there. The 4 doors at the end.
Looks like there might be something written
The left door says 3.
on the blank door.
The second door is blank, but the third has a 7.
Yep.
And the rightmost door is 8.
So let's think about who do we have. We have Santa, who's 3. We have ourself, who is 5. We have June, who is 4. And we have Lotus, who is 8. All together, 3, 4, 5, and 8 would be 15, which would give you a digital root of 6. So we're going to have to pick somebody to not go through the door. If we get rid of June, who would be my pick, then you have 3, 8, and 5, which would be 7. So I guess the 7th door. That would be one choice. Is it possible to get an 8 digital root or a 3 digital root? Probably. It would be kind of silly in the game if you could actually only go through the 7th door.
There's no doubt. They're numbered doors.
Why is the second door blank?
Good question, but it also doesn't have a scanner,
That
so
seems kind of strange, don't you think?
also seems like you couldn't open it. They should just see if it opens.
No point worrying about it right now. Let's see if these will open first.
Yes, that sounds like a good plan.
So they did check to see if any of them would open.
Oh, it's no use.
Well, of course. If it was that easy to open these doors, what would be the point of the Nonary game? We have to activate the red, or the numbered doors won't... Wait a minute.
What's wrong?
Look, the display on the red.
What does it say?
There's nothing on it.
Huh?
Don't you remember? The red at the central staircase?
Said vacant before.
No one was inside. It said vacant.
Oh yeah, you're right.
But this one,
There's nothing on it.
right?
I wonder if it's broken.
Only one way to find out.
Yep, seems like it's not powered up.
It's not responding.
How about the red on door 7? And door 3?
None of them are working.
What does it mean?
I knew it. They're broken. Zero sure sucks at maintenance.
No, that's impossible. You really think Zero, who prepared all of this, would make such a stupid, simple mistake?
Maybe. He let number 9 have a knife.
Maybe, but that doesn't explain why this thing ain't working.
I believe the bottom of the device has been removed.
Snake.
Snake!
So now if we've got more people added to the group, that changes the equation.
Ace! Clover! 7!
Well, what did they see ahead that they've come back down this direction?
How did you end up here?
So on the flow, I
That's
guess
my line?
we're getting to that merging point.
Perhaps we should exchange information.
Yeah, I'd like to know what happened, and I'm hoping we can get that in less than 10 minutes. Tell me what happened, please.
There you have it. Our half of the story.
Really? You're not gonna tell me anything at all?
Okay, let me see if I got all this straight. When you guys got here, the bases for the Reds were already gone.
One assumes that to be true. What would be the advantage of these guys stealing the base parts of the Reds, to which I guess are like the controllers or batteries, and then sticking around?
And you looked all over this room, but you couldn't find anything.
There's so many beds. It would be a nightmare to try and search under and inside each of those mattresses.
So you figured that there might be something in the hallway with all the doors.
So that's where they've been?
So you went and had a look?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And while you were looking around, you heard voices.
Interesting.
Uh-huh. So you followed the voices and came back here.
Okay.
Indeed. And that was how we found you.
So, in a different playthrough, if we played as the other group, maybe we would have the opportunity to not hear voices or ignore the voices, which we assume the voices are our team talking, and not that they're hearing some kind of like psychic transmission from a different timeline or something.
Why don't we check those 3 Reds again, just in case?
You're right. Huh. There's a long, thin gap on the bottom. I
Okay.
think it's a slot for something. Probably electronic.
Well, this isn't good. If the red is inactive, we can't keep going.
Well, could you go back and open the previous numbered doors from the other side? Because you kind of need to get back to the main staircase somehow. There was a lot of other doors.
Well, what about that hallway over there? Isn't there anywhere else we can go?
No, there isn't. There are plenty more hospital rooms, but nothing else.
Hospital rooms. That's what's behind all those doors?
Apparently.
Yes. There are a number of individual rooms in addition to this large one.
There was a door at the end of the hallway, but it was locked.
There was an astrological symbol engraved near the keyhole, however.
Odd that Snake would offer that information considering he's blind.
I was able to get a good feel of it. I believe it was the symbol of Jupiter.
Not again. Those goddamn things are everywhere.
I guess maybe Snake is the only other person that knows astrological symbols.
I wonder what they all mean.
While we're asking what things mean, what's the deal with this room? I mean, I thought this was a cruise ship, but I can't imagine a cruise ship would have a hospital like this.
Yeah, it is weird.
Well, I figure it's probably a hospital ship. Chances are it's the Gigantic.
So yeah, he did look like a fisherman, so he must know a bit about sailing. A hospital ship with a casino on it and a fancy decor in a cruise deck, apparently.
The Gigantic?
I guess that might be believable that somebody built a casino ship at one point and it got converted to a hospital ship. And having a casino and amenities wouldn't be a terrible idea for a hospital ship anyways, compared to trying to build a hospital ship on like a military vessel where everything would be cramped and utilitarian.
What is this Gigantic?
The Gigantic. She was a sister ship to the Titanic, built in the early 20th century.
Interesting.
Actually, the Titanic had two sister ships, and they looked exactly the same.
Okay, so now we're getting more story about the Titanic.
The Gigantic was said to be one of them. They intended to make her a passenger liner like the Titanic, but World War I began soon after the ship launched. The British Navy took her over and made her a hospital ship.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
At some point during the war, the Gigantic was damaged by a German mine in the Aegean Sea.
I guess the question becomes, though, is any of this story actually true in the real world, or is this just an interesting little spin? It's fine to me either way, I suppose.
She ran aground afterwards, so she didn't end up sunk.
So Zero is so rich he bought this historically famous and relevant ship, restored it just to sink it in a death game.
What happened to her after that? One theory going around is that a man named Lord Gordain bought her.
Okay.
Seemed like he'd been one of the few to survive the Titanic sinking. That trauma turned him into some kind of obsessive collector of all things related to the Titanic.
Now we're getting into the conspiracy theory thought, I bet.
Soon enough, the guy wanted the Titanic itself. Which was impossible, of course. It's stuck at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. But the Gigantic wasn't. And seeing as she was identical...
So you're saying this Lord Gordain bought this ship?
Yeah, at least I think I am.
That's impossible. No way we're in some boat that's almost 100 years old.
Pipe down, just pay attention. What, that's it? Well, have you got any proof?
Proof?
Proof that this ship is really the Gigantic.
Well, this ship's got stuff that's like the Titanic and a hospital ship. So, I just figured.
Oh, for goodness. Don't tell me that's your only reason.
See, here you have a nice little conflict between two personalities where Seven is going to just throw out information that he knows and make kind of an assumption or a speculation, and Lotus wants to overthink things and not actually take any action. So of course she's going to question anything anybody says, because if she took for true what someone said, then that would potentially be evidence that she should take it, believe it, and then act in some way. It's a kind of a lazy mentality on her part of just being saying, I don't want to have to believe anything, or so I can just justify being skeptical by overly questioning things. Not that you should believe Seven's story, but you should take it and say it's a better theory than what anybody else is offering right now, so you might as well act on that theory instead of just acting out of complete ignorance.
No, I've got more.
Like?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Seven, also not so detail oriented or intellectual, for lack of a better description, so Lotus can just kind of question him and break him down and break down his resolve.
I guess your memory isn't back yet, is it?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Hey, whoa, wait a minute. Memory isn't back?
Interesting. Apparently, people hadn't been telling Junpei about that.
Your point being?
Wait, was I the only one that didn't know? Why?
Oh, yeah, I guess Guess I didn't tell you, huh? I told the rest of them before we ran into you on the stairs. I told them I couldn't remember a damn thing from before I woke up.
So that opens the door to 7 being the 0 character and not realizing it. It also explains why he named himself just 7 instead of a code name that would have better described himself.
What?
And there's the clock moving forward another 30 minutes, I guess.
A bell.
So I guess it's been 2 hours.
Sounds like the clock in the main stairway. 10, 11, 12. Huh, 12.
It's midnight.
So 12's digital route would be 3, so maybe there's a hint you're supposed to go through room 3. Particularly if 0 was like manipulating the time on the clock.
Then we've still got 6 hours left, right?
So yeah, we've taken more than 3 hours to get to the point of the story where we have spent 3 hours. That's a bad ratio for sure.
We don't have any time to screw around. Let's get going. We gotta find the missing parts for the Reds.
What do you mean find? How on earth do you propose we do that?
I really feel like, let's see, is there any options here that we can actually do? Like file. No, that's just instructions. Yeah. I don't think there's a button or a menu here. Unless there's a start menu. No, start is just save. Yeah. Let's go ahead and save. I think that's where we're going to end this recording. So it seems like I'd have to go back to the title menu if I wanted to turn on Japanese spoken language. I'd have to go back to the title menu if I wanted to have the audio just scroll. I think at this point it probably would be smarter, even for the first time players, to just have the audio scroll. These micro pauses after each sentence are killing me personally, because it then gives me a break to add a few sentences of commentary, which I want to add commentary, but I'm adding quite a lot of commentary on what compared to what is actually being said and what's going on. And it probably wouldn't have been a big problem if I just let the story go, and if I miss something, I'd get it on the second playthrough, or if I could pause the game and maybe look at a transcript of what was said in the past, and if I missed some small bit of information that was said that was important. I don't know if there even is going to be any small bits of information that are going to be missable, because when we were in the escape the room puzzle, at least, it was very possible to click on the same object and get the same hint, or even a better version of that hint. So even when I was running into trouble trying to translate hexadecimal the way they wanted me to translate it, there was no way for me to miss that. Well, we've been going for an hour and 34 minutes, and I think we're gonna end here. We are going to have to decide which direction we want to go. I guess the idea is if you go on the 3 door, that would be the path to on the right of the flow, and if we go on the 7 or 8 door, I guess that probably puts you on the path in the left or the path in the middle. And you probably do want to take the path on the left or the middle to get through that section, and then make your final big decision, which will be between 3 doors. And then if you go on the path of the left or the path of the middle, then you will have another decision point. But if you go on the path on the right, you're pretty much locked into one ending, which makes it feel like that is the bad ending. Like, yeah, almost certainly the number 3 door is a bad ending. Alright, that's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and get me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.